know that worker who says, "Just put me wherever you can use me"? I want you to picture him for a second, because in 1 month, he lands at 3 totally different sites, and every single one feels wrong. Week 1, he's at a fast, noisy e-commerce warehouse. Lights bright, conveyor belts flying, scanners beeping. He's overwhelmed by the pace and the constant standing, and by Wednesday, he's asking his recruiter, very quietly, if there's anything a little calmer.
So the recruiter moves him to site number 2. It's a small parts manufacturer. Slower pace, more routine, but now it's a second shift role with a supervisor who is very hands-off. Our worker is used to more direction, more check-ins, and after a few days, he's confused. He's second-guessing himself, and the supervisor is wondering why he looks lost.
Then comes Site 3. Big union plant, super structured, very safety-focused, strong team culture, and a stable day shift. Suddenly, he's saying, "I wish I had started here. This actually feels like a fit."
And the wild part is, nothing about that worker changed in those 4 weeks. What changed was the site, the environment, the pace, the way people communicate and manage. But we treated those first 2 placements like, well, let's just see what happens.
If you support multiple warehouses or plants, you already know the problem. On paper, the jobs look similar: picker, packer, machine operator, material handler. But in reality, one site is sprinting all day, another is steady and methodical, another is super structured and safety-heavy.
And when we don't have a clear placement method across those sites, we end up doing random fit. It's basically, who needs people today? Instead of, where is this particular person most likely to succeed? That's how you get avoidable reassignments, first-week no-shows, and supervisors who feel like they're rolling the dice with every new start.
From the worker side, it does not feel great either. They start questioning themselves. Why am I always getting moved? Why isn't this working? Maybe I'm just not cut out for warehouse work. And in a lot of cases, it's not them. It's the mismatch.
So today, we're going to walk through a really simple playbook. Nothing fancy, nothing that requires a full-time analyst. Just a 1-page profile for each site, some clear tags for your roles, and on the candidate side, better conversations around preferences and strengths.
Let's start with the employer and staffing pro side. If you can, picture a 1-page snapshot for every location you support. Not a glossy brochure, just the real story, what it feels like to work there on a Tuesday afternoon.
Think of it as how you'd describe the site to your best friend if they were about to start there tomorrow. You're not selling it, you're preparing them. That mindset keeps this neutral and useful, not judgmental.
Here are 5 things I like to capture on that 1-pager. First, pace. Is this site slow, steady, or fast? Do people walk, power walk, or practically jog all day? Is the work highly repetitive, or are there lots of changeovers and task switches?
Second, supervision style. Is the supervisor very present and hands-on, checking in constantly? Or more of a, here's your area, here's the target, I'll see you at break kind of leader? Neither is right or wrong, but different workers thrive under different styles.
Third, safety maturity. Not just do they have PPE, but is safety talked about daily? Do they do quick huddles? Do workers feel comfortable speaking up? Is this a place where new people get real training, or do they mostly learn by watching the person next to them?
Fourth, schedule rhythm. Are shifts rock solid and predictable, or do they flex with volume? Are there frequent last-minute overtime requests? Is weekend work the norm or the exception? This is a huge factor in retention, especially for people with caregiving or second jobs.
And fifth, I like to capture typical success stories. Who does well here? Is it people who like routine, folks who love hitting production numbers, or will?
Now, I can almost hear a few listeners thinking, Sam, that sounds great, but my team is already slammed. We're just trying to fill orders. We don't have time to build profiles for 10 different sites.
Totally fair. Here's the thing. This does not have to be a big project. You can start super lightweight, literally 5 bullet points. Pace, supervision, safety, schedule, success story. You pull that in a 20-minute conversation with the supervisor, maybe while you're already on site.
And that 20 minutes can save you hours of re-recruiting when someone churns the first week because the site was a bad fit. It's the classic, pay a little time now or pay a lot more time later.
Also, one important nuance. This is not about ranking sites or blaming supervisors. We're not saying this site is good, this site is bad. We're saying this site is fast and structured. This one is slower but more independent. It's about matching and safety, not scoring or shaming.
Exactly. And when you involve supervisors in building that one-pager, you get better data and better buy-in. Ask them, who tends to last here and do well? What surprises new people? Those answers are gold for recruiters.
Once you've got those site profiles, you can turn them into a matching tool pretty quickly. This is where tags or simple categories come in. You don't need fancy software. A shared spreadsheet or an ATS free text field can work just fine.
Let's give some examples. For pace, you might tag roles as fast, steady, or low pace. For supervision, maybe hands-on coach, independent, or structured team lead. For noise, you could use quiet, moderate, or loud with ear protection.
You can also tag for environment, team heavy, solo friendly, indoor climate controlled, non-climate controlled, heavy lifting, or light work. These are the reality of the job details that often determine whether someone thinks, I can do this every day, or I'm out.
Then, when a recruiter is talking to a candidate, it's not just, I've got 3 warehouses, which one is closest to you? It becomes, I've got a fast-paced e-commerce site with a very hands-on supervisor, a steady manufacturing site that's quieter but more independent, and a big plant that's structured with strong safety routines. Let's talk about what fits you.
The magic is that you can do this quickly. Once the tags exist, it's more about picking from a menu than reinventing every time. And over time, you'll start to see patterns. You'll know, for example, that people who tell you they love a steady rhythm and clear routine almost always stick at Site B, but struggle at Site A.
And for those of you using AI or more advanced tech in recruiting, these tags are the ingredients those tools need. If the only difference between 3 roles in your system is the zip code and pay rate, even the smartest tool can't distinguish them the way a human on the floor would.
Let's flip over to the job seeker side for a minute. If you're listening and you're open to warehouse, manufacturing, or skilled trades work, you might feel pressure to say, I'll do anything, I'll go anywhere, just get me working.
We get it. You want to show you're flexible and reliable. But here's the secret. Giving your recruiter clear preferences does not make you picky. It helps them put you somewhere you can actually last and possibly convert to full-time.
A good way to frame it is, here's where I've done well before, and here's what makes it hard for me to stay. For example, you might say, I do well in steady, routine work. Super fast, high-pressure environments burn me out. Or, I don't mind a fast pace, but I need clear instructions and a supervisor who checks in.
You can also talk about distance without sounding demanding. Say something like, to be reliable, I really need work within 30 minutes of home or on a bus route. If it's farther, I worry about transportation being an issue. That's honest, it's responsible, and it helps us avoid placements that fall apart because of the commute.
Same thing with shift. Instead of, I can only do one shift and nothing else, try, my ideal shift is second because of childcare, but I can make first shift work if it's really stable. Overnights, I can't manage right now. That tells your recruiter where you're flexible and where you're not.
Noise and environment are big, too. You can say, I'm okay with noisy environments if I have hearing protection, or I get headaches in really loud spaces, so quieter or moderate noise is better. Same with temperature. I can handle some heat, but extreme hot or cold all day is tough on me.
And lastly, think about whether you enjoy team settings or more independent work. If you tell your recruiter, I like working with a group and don't want to feel isolated, that will steer you toward different sites than if you say, I'm happiest when I can put my headphones on during breaks and just focus on my own station.
The key message for job seekers is this. The more specific you are about where you've succeeded and what you can realistically manage, the easier it is for us to advocate for you and place you where you have a real shot at staying and growing.
All right, let's pull it all together into something you can actually try this week. You don't need to overhaul your whole operation. Start with a small pilot.
Pick 2 or 3 of your main sites. Maybe your highest volume warehouse, a plant that has higher turnover, and one location where people tend to stay a long time. Those contrasts will teach you a lot.
For each of those sites, build that lightweight one-page profile. Again, just 5 bullets: pace, supervision style, safety maturity, schedule rhythm, and a typical success story or 2. Do it with the supervisor if you can, so they feel included and represented.
Then, tag your upcoming roles at those sites. Use simple categories: fast pace, hands-on supervision, moderate noise, structured schedule, team-oriented, whatever makes sense based on what you just wrote down.
Now, for the next few weeks, pay attention to 2 things. First, early churn. How many people leave or ask to be moved in the first week or 2? Second, feedback. What are workers and supervisors saying about fit? Do you hear more, "This is exactly what you described," and less, "I didn't know it would be like this"?
Use that feedback to tweak your tags and profiles. Maybe you realize a site you thought was steady really feels closer to fast for new workers. Or a supervisor you labeled as independent actually gives a lot more coaching in the first week than you realized. Adjust and keep going.
Over time, you'll build a placement system that's not about guessing, but about patterns, and that pays off in safer, more stable teams, less scrambling to backfill, and workers who feel like they finally landed somewhere they can call home, not just another site.
Before we wrap, let's recap 3 big takeaways from today.
First, multi-site staffing without a clear placement method leads to random fit, reassignments, and frustration for everyone. The worker in 3 sites in 1 month is not a success story. It's a sign the system is guessing.
Second, a simple one-page profile for each site, covering pace, supervision style, safety maturity, schedule rhythm, and typical success stories, gives recruiters and supervisors a common language to match people to environments, not just openings.
And third, both employers and job seekers have a role in this. Employers and staffing teams can use tags and profiles to steer candidates better, and job seekers can speak up about their pace, distance, shift, noise, and team preferences without being picky, so placements are more likely to stick and turn into long-term opportunities.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with us on Workers.com Staffing Pulse, where we bring you insights from the front line so you can build stronger, safer, more stable teams.
Until next time, let's approach the placement of people with intention, not just availability. Talk to you soon.